welcome to the Ecommerce Alley podcast, where we believe that in order to build a life-changing business, you need passionate leadership, smart operations, and of course, powerful marketing. And if you have good looks, it just helps. Well, my name is Josh Coffey, and I have my co-host Dylan Counts here on the podcast, where for the last 11-ish years, we've been helping brands grow through strategic marketing and coaching and teaching frameworks that we eat, sleep, breathe, and practice every single day. Yes, folks, we practice what we preach, unlike a lot of people out there. It's also very expensive sometimes to practice what you preach when it doesn't go according to plan. And we just take the arrows for people.
Yeah.
And so in this episode, we're going to talk about the biggest, humongous, juiciest, most expensivest mistakes that we see made on Meta ads every single day. And now we have the honor of working with a little over, I think it's we crossed the 300 threshold at some point in the last couple months. Over 300 e-commerce brands right now in our coaching programs that we work hands-on with. So like we're in 20 to 30 ad accounts a week, not including our own ad accounts and for our own 2 different brands. And so like we can notice trends happening pretty quick. And we also know how a lot of people optimize, and it's not good. And the amount of self-sabotage that happens is just bizarre.
Yeah.
Like you'll see people trying to scale, and then they won't know why, and then you go in and you see that they've been editing the ads and tweaking the budget every single day, twice a day for the last week. There's your problem.
Yeah.
Right. So what we're going to talk about, we want to talk about the big juicy mistakes. Like these are ones that please promise us that you won't do these, or at least you'll learn from these so you become a lot more profitable in your business. Now, if you own an e-commerce business and you want to potentially put us at your table to learn these mistakes, even more than this, and get our help and our eyes on your business and helping you grow and helping you scale, wherever you're at, we work with people that are just getting started to brands that are doing 7 figures a month.
Yep.
And so wherever you're at, if you're interested in seeing how we could work together, seeing the little courses, the products, the templates, the things like that we have, go to ecommercealley.com and you'll be able to learn all kinds of cool stuff. About that, we would love to talk, or at least sell you a $7 little thing.
Yeah.
That'll help you in wherever you're at right now.
Yep.
All right, Dylan, let's do this. The big, juicy, expensive mistakes people make on Meta.
Yeah.
I'll let you start us out.
All right. I think the first one may be a little polarizing because everyone wants this, but it's not as easy to do: aggressive scaling. Everyone wants aggressive scale. Everyone wants to increase their ad budget, very quickly. They have those lofty goals that they want to achieve, and the easiest way to get there is just increase your ad budget. And so many times I see people increase their ad budget, and it's just the worst possible thing they could have done for so many different reasons. And we'll talk a little bit about that deeper. But I think the biggest thing that I have seen, especially recently, is with Meta's AI, new targeting, all of that kind of stuff, it's very, very important that you have proven stuff that you're putting into a campaign. If you don't have proven ads, proven offers, proven messaging, proven products, all of those kind of things, and then even on a more deeper, like advertising specific level, ad format, catalog versus a DPA versus all those technical things that you can test in a campaign, trying to scale those untested, unproven things can actually hurt you in the long run, because it may only work to retargeting. It may only work to a certain demographic that you're advertising to. But once you go outside of that, once you force Facebook to go outside of, and I like to put it this way, you spend $200 a day, right? You're spending $200 a day and you want to try and get to 300. Well, when you force Facebook or Meta to spend an additional $100 a day, it's forcing Meta to try and find people that like the thing you're doing. But you may have already found all the people that like the exact thing that you're doing, and you need to find something more. And scaling like that is that's where it can get really dangerous. And the faster that you try to increase budget, or the faster that you, or I guess the less proven things that you're putting into a campaign, the more unpredictable your scale can get. And then people try to scale quickly, or they really want to be aggressive, and things start to fall apart, and they don't know where, they don't know why, and then you're forced to backtrack. I think that's a really, really bad thing that I've seen a lot of people doing recently.
I absolutely agree. I think that aggressive scaling is like most people scale based on their hitting their target ROAS or hitting their target CPA.
Yep.
And scaling is based entirely on that. It's not based on what percentage of your revenue is being spent in ads. It's not based on like stability and how long it's been running.
That's
like
a big thing, too.
we had a conversation in one of our communities this week, and somebody wanted to really increase his spend. Like it was like double or triple, and he's like, things are really crushing it. And I said, great. How long have they been crushing it? A week.
Yep.
Ugh, you could just had a good week.
The other thing
also, did you run a promo this week? If you ran an email promo this week,
Yeah.
It's going to skew the results because if you want to get really nerdy, one-day view windows of attribution, it's going to take credit for a lot of stuff. And so something else you said that I think is really a way that people could figure this out is like you might be scaling with unproven assets to cold traffic, and that's where you'll hurt yourself.
Yep.
So for example, if you go into Meta and you do a breakdown by audience type, you'll see new audience, existing customers, and engaged audience. And you may not realize it, but you might see the whole campaign and be like, oh, this campaign is producing my target results for 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
So often.
It has stability, Josh. This is great. We should scale this because it's been performing in a good number for a long period of time. But then you go do the breakdown and you realize, oh, no, the results are only here.
My cold audience is
one ROAS
unprofitable.
or wildly unprofitable, and the existing retargeting is what's carrying the entire
because it could be
team.
sitting at a 10 ROAS. When you look at that breakdown, your existing could be sitting at a 10 ROAS, and the other one could be sitting at a 1, but it makes the whole campaign look like it's sitting at a 2.5 or something, which is great, and it looks good from the high end, and often this happens in that first week, where everyone's like, my campaign tanked in a week. What happened to it? Well, it's because it hit all those retargeting people first, so you think that things were going great, and then it tanks because now it's being forced to go outside of those retargeting, and it can't find anyone that likes the message that you're saying.
Yeah, or you're going so fast that the cold it's not warming up. It's not warming up quick enough.
Yeah.
So how we recommend scaling is we recommend, well, there's a lot around this, but like we ideally recommend that you maintain an ad spend percentage.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into this. We have a podcast on ad management. I forget. I think it's like episode 70. I don't even know. I'm not even going to try to quote it. It's
I have no clue what
we're
number that is.
170 something episodes in. I have no idea what episode. Go check out our ad management system. It's basically, we recommend that you stay in percentages and you don't scale based on KPIs because that is a one-way ticket to broke and burned bank account.
Yep.
So definitely don't recommend doing that. We are huge fans of using like an automation. Like we like to scale 3 to 5% per day using an automation so long as your KPI is in range in the last 7 days. We don't need to get into the weeds of that.
But you can catch things so much easier because there may just be an exact threshold that happens where things just start, your results just start to dip. And you can literally look at like a day-by-day breakdown, and I'm getting into a lot of the other things we're talking about, but you start looking at like a day-by-day, week-by-week breakdown and say, oh, it was when it hit this threshold that things started to fall apart. Let's go back to that and try and work our way up to a new spend threshold.
Yeah. So number one, biggest, juiciest, expensivest mistake, aggressive scaling. Number two is running to Meta shops. The only note that we have in here is it sucks.
Yeah, Josh was like, hey, I put some notes in for this podcast. If you have any thoughts, just throw those in there. And I went through and I read them, and I saw he had running a Meta shop, and my note was, it sucks. I just threw that in there because I'm like, that's all we have to talk about. I really don't like Meta shop.
Okay, so if you're unfamiliar, when you're running a campaign, you could select where do you want the destination to be. You could do website or you could do website or shop, and that's if you have Instagram and Facebook shop set up. And so we have been on the fence about this. And then in the most recent couple of months, we have been really evaluating the effectiveness of running to your Instagram or Facebook shop. Because for most people, if you say go to website or shop, where does Meta want to drive most of your traffic?
Yep.
They want to drive your traffic to their own platform. They don't want you leaving their platform, even if it's not that great for you. And so Facebook and Instagram shops, without getting super in the weeds. I just did a 90-minute workshop on this for our clients on Monday. Without getting super in the weeds, essentially, what we observe is lower average order values.
Yep.
Higher cost per acquisitions, lower return on ad spend, and worse customers. who return crap, who give crappy reviews, and that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
And so if you put website or shop, they don't, what's kind of annoying to me is they don't clearly show you the return on ad spend from shop.
Yep.
You can't just say like you could say, hey, I want to see website return on ad spend or website cost per purchase. You can't do that for shop.
Yeah.
They hide it. They don't show you they'll
almost
show
like
you
it's
assisted. They'll show you assisted, but they won't show you exact. And so here's what I recommend to anybody here that is running is like, well, no, my campaign that goes to website or shop is doing great, Josh. Here's what I recommend you do, because we just did this for one of the brands last week. And I went and looked in a 7-day window of time. And here's how you do the calculation. You go in and you say, okay, how many unique link clicks have I had? And like, what is my cost per unique link click? And how many unique link clicks did I have? And then you say, okay, how many outbound link clicks did I have? Because outbound is the stuff that goes to your website. Link clicks are things that go to your website or the shop. So then you're going to take unique link clicks minus outbound link clicks. That gives you the amount of link clicks that Meta is driving to your shops. Then you take number of those times the cost per unique link click. That's going to give you the amount.
Yep.
So, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take that amount and you're going to divide that by the revenue that you're going to take the revenue and you're going to be able to go into your Shopify and go to the Instagram, Facebook app, or you can go to your Commerce Center and look at the insights. See how much revenue was produced through your shops in that same 7-day window of time and divide that by the amount that we just calculated. And we did this for 2 different brands just last week. And one was running a 0.85 return on ad spend to the shop, and the other was running a 0.75 ROAS to the shop.
And that assumes you even get purchases on the shop in the first place,
And that assumes yours. Some people aren't. Yeah, some people aren't getting any. And so we ran it, and they were both under 1 return on ad spend. And then you could reverse it to figure out how much you're actually producing through your website. Yep. But here's the interesting thing. For one of the brands, their average return on ad spend was like a 2.1. Meaning that shop, which by the way was consuming almost 70% of the spend of the link clicks.
Man, I had a metric I was going to share. I was working with someone that was 50%, but you made my metric
they had
not
70%
good,
of their. So you could just look at the total amount you paid to go to the shop and look at the total amount you spent, and it was 70%. 70% of the ad spend was going to the shop at a 0.85 return on ad spend.
Yeah.
And so you reverse the math, and then we found out, the website is producing like a high 2 return on ad spend. And we just want to be over a 2.
Yeah.
And so the shop was dragging down the average like crazy. So you know what we did? Killed the campaign. We relaunched the campaign, website only.
Yep.
So Meta Shops, I'm telling you, if I were to review 10, if I were to review 10 campaigns, one of them might be doing okay.
But could it be doing better without it?
They would all be doing better without it.
Probably.
Yeah, you have less control. You can control your funnel, higher AOV, better quality customers, etc.
And I think the most dangerous thing is if you have a product that it requires a lot of education.
Yeah,
if you have a product that requires a lot of education that has to be done on the product page, you can't do that on Meta Shop. So then people are looking at this thing, they're like, what the heck even is this? Why do I need it? Who's it for? They're asking all those questions and you can't answer that in a Meta Shop.
If you have a highly educational product, don't even think about shops. Like it's maybe someone finds it organically.
Yeah, this is like t-shirts could work for shop, but
that was one
t-shirts
of the examples
was one of the
we
examples.
analyzed.
So
Yeah,
it's
that was
like,
one of we analyzed. And
just probably don't do it.
Definitely, I wouldn't do it.
It's probably just a bad idea.
All right, number 3.
This one's juicy.
Yeah.
I like this one.
I'll let you go.
I was going to let you do it, but this one, I really like this one. Thinking you have an ads problem. Everyone thinks my ads suck. I have an ads problem. But you may actually have a product, an offer, or a website problem. People always assume if my ads aren't working, it must be my ads. I need to test more of my ads, test more creatives, headlines, primary text.
Campaign structure.
Campaign structure.
Yeah, right.
You skip
It's a
down
silver
to
bullet. Sorry.
You skip down to our next one.
Yeah.
We're jumping all over the place here. But yeah, all those different things, my ads suck. Oftentimes, it's actually not your ads. A really simple way to look at this is you look at your cost per unique outbound link click. You look at this, and if you're sitting at $1.50 for most, now higher AOV is going to have a little bit of a higher cost per click, and different products are going to have higher cost per click. But on average, about $1.50 is where it should be. If you're not sitting around $1.50, then
or less, yeah,
your ads are the problem. Now, granted, even less can be what we're talking about in a little bit. See, we're jumping all over the place, but
Our target cost per ad to click is under $1.50. That's what we tell like almost every client. If you're in supplement, you might be a little bit more. Sometimes like authors, I'm observing,
Yes.
are like a little bit more than that.
Yep.
But for the most part, you should be under $1.50 cost per unique outbound link click. If you're over that, you have an ads issue. You're getting stuck. People just aren't interested in your ads. Let's say the reason this could be an expensive problem is when you think you have an ads problem, when it's really a product and offer problem, is when symptom is you're getting great cost per click, but nobody is adding to their cart. And our rule of thumb is 10% of your AOV or less. So if your AOV is $60, your cost per add to cart should be $6 or less. So if you're getting cost per click at $1, which is great, and your cost per add to cart is $16 when it should be $6, well, guess what? People are clicking, and you're losing them as soon as they get there. And there are a myriad of things that it could be, but you might have an offer issue, you might have a website issue, you might have some kind of an issue on the website. But the problem is, it's very expensive to go and keep trying to fix the ads when your cost per clicks are great. You're just losing them on where they go. And another great example of another potential solution to that is if you're driving to a homepage or a collection page versus the product page. So if I see product A with a red shirt, I expect when I click on product A with the red shirt in the ad to go to a product page with red shirt, like I saw in the ad. So there has to be congruency.
Yep.
And if you don't have congruency and you're going to a collection and they have to dig for it, or God forbid you're going to the home page and they have to go like 6 layers deep just to find what the heck the shirt or the product was that they just looked at, you're going to lose people. So make sure that there's congruency. And if you're trying to focus on the ads but your cost per click is good, then you probably don't have an ads problem, and it's expensive to keep trying to fix the thing that's not the issue. Just go to the root of the issue.
yeah, a lot of that congruency thing also comes into how you're talking about your product too. Because on the ads, if you're just talking about the product as like, here's the product. I see a lot of people just advertising, this is my product, here it is. And then you drive to the page and it's, here's my product, this is what it is. It's like, well, yeah, you got the clicks because people were interested in the product, but they wanted to learn more on the page, and you're not educating them on the page. That's the big thing that I see a lot of the time. There's not enough education on the page
To make a decision.
to make a decision. And I like just a really simple fix to that is I like to put really strong, unique selling points above the add to cart button, so that before people even see add to cart, they see 3 to 4 really, really good reasons to buy your product. Yeah. That's just a really, and then I usually take those and I just throw them on the ads too. So then it creates congruency between the ad and the landing page. Now I wanted to talk about the cost per click, because $1.50 is about the benchmark that you want to be at. Some people are like, yeah, I'm sitting at like 50-cent cost per click, right? And that could actually be a problem too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, people run a really intriguing ad. And this is our next thing. Making your ads too intriguing can actually hurt you. Getting your cost per click too low can actually hurt you. Sometimes you're actually okay, and it's actually better to pay more for a click to drive higher quality traffic to your website.
Higher intent, yeah.
Yeah. Because if you have an ad that is very intriguing, you're gonna get a lot of clicks. But if it's like a lifestyle photo of someone using your product, or it's like really generic but maybe a little bit interesting, people will click, but when they land on the next page, they're gonna be like, I didn't expect to buy this. Why am I here? Sometimes it could be, maybe they expected it to be a blog post. Maybe they expected it to be an educational thing. Maybe they just thought it was something their mom posted. They're like, oh, what's mom talking about today? Click, right? And then they land on some product page. They're like, oh, I wasn't expecting to buy this. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't actually want it. So you're paying really, really cheap cost per click, thinking that your ads are good, but then you actually look deeper and you think at it from a consumer perspective on what is a consumer thinking when they click on this, and actually they're thinking, this is cool, click. Oh, I didn't actually want to pay 50, 80, whatever dollars for it. I just thought it was cool. And then they leave, which can affect your add to cart. But then also that's where your cost per click, you got to find the balance of the intent, which is going to drive your cost per click up, but also not being too intriguing so that you're driving just tons of unqualified traffic, because Meta optimizes down the funnel. So it's going to look for the people that click first. And if you find people that click, it's going to keep sending those people to you. It's not going to optimize for the purchase because those people aren't purchasing anyways.
Yeah, so if you get a lot of junk, intriguing clicks,
Yep.
it's going to be low quality traffic, and then
it's gonna stay that way.
it'll begin to optimize into it, and it's just a complete gut punch down the road when nothing ever optimizes.
Yep.
Yeah, we're definitely fans of intent over intrigue.
For sure.
It's
It's worth
add
paying the
intrigue
higher
later.
cost per click.
Add intrigue later. It
Yeah.
also increases your estimated action rate, which in the auction place actually helps you out, CPMs and a lot of other reasons.
Yeah.
Number 5, big, juicy, expensive mistake is optimizing based on an attribution tool. So I did an episode on our attribution tools necessary not too long ago.
Yep.
So you can go listen to the full deep dive on that. But if you're not familiar with an attribution tool, essentially, Meta and Google and TikTok, any ad platform, is not great at tracking, closing the loop on people that click and then buy. It's difficult to attribute the sale to the right ad set or campaign. And the reason this is because of iOS 14.5, Apple's transparency tracking policy that went into play back in 2021. And so what happened is all these attribution tools came out and they said, hey, we can use a lot of first-party data and a lot of other signals to basically have great accuracy to know which of your ad sets or campaigns certain purchases came from and what the real return on ad spend and real CPA and real revenue is from those campaigns. And we used an attribution tool for years. We used Hyros for years. Triple Whale, we use it for a lot of our clients. We use Triple Whale, and some clients have Northbeam, and Commently was another one.
Yeah.
And so we used to swear by attribution tools because we're like, we need to have visibility on what is converting, what is driving sales. But here's the problem: if you optimize, like let's say you had, I'm gonna make it real simple. One camp actually just had this conversation with a client yesterday.
Yeah.
It was yesterday. Yeah.
Yep.
They called me because they have access to an attribution tool. And they said that they just started using, and she was like, well, Meta's all wrong because the attribution tool is telling me that of the 5 ads, that this one is the one that got all the sales, but on Meta's showing that this one got all the sales. And I was like, well, now I got to have the talk.
Yeah.
Meta doesn't care what your attribution tool shows. So if you're killing things based on what your attribution tool is showing, Meta starts to lose its optimization. And the question is, would you rather have, like let's say you had 5 ads and it had 3 purchases between all 5 ads, but they weren't in the right spot. Does it matter if they're in the right spot or not? Or does it more matter that Meta is optimizing based on who it believes you're going after? Because it's still got the sales.
Yeah.
Meta's pretty accurate, I would say. I'd probably say it's like 80 to 90% accurate in like collecting the actual like purchases in the ROAS and the CPA, like all that stuff. It's good at collecting it, but it's not always in the right spot. And that's because you have click-through attribution windows, view-through attribution windows, and now engaged view attribution windows. And not to get into any super nerd talk there, we're already in the depths, I understand. But don't try to optimize. When you optimize your ad accounts based on your attribution tool, usually everything goes to complete crap. And so last year, we took 3 months and we said, hey, we have an attribution tool. We're just going to optimize based on what Meta's dashboards actually shows and see if we can produce the same, greater, or worse results. And you know what happened? No difference.
And the other thing is attribution tools are so expensive.
Yeah, that's my big hang-up.
So you're putting so much money into this attribution tool. First off, are you really getting the value out of it that you're putting in? Or would you get more value just taking that and putting it into the ad spend? Whatever you're paying per month, just increase your ad spend that much. It would probably make you more money that way. But the other thing is, like you said, Meta doesn't care. And honestly, I think we may have even shot ourselves in the foot using an attribution tool because we knew our Meta tracking sucked. We just lived with it because we're like, well, who cares? If Meta's not tracking, but we have Hyros, we're tracking it here, we can be confident in what we're doing. But then we got rid of that and we're like, all right, maybe we should fix our pixel. We ran into a big problem where our pixel just fell apart. And we're like, all right,
We spent $8,000 one day for a $17 ticket sale.
Yeah,
It was an event. We were promoting. It was horrible.
It was really bad.
Most expensive ticket sale ever.
Yes, it was. But at that point, we were like, oh, crap, we really need to fix our pixel. So we fixed the pixel. And from that point forward, our CPA just started going down. And I think a lot of people can rely too heavily on an attribution tool, trusting the data from the attribution tool. But really, it's more important to have Meta get the best data it possibly can, because ultimately they're the ones calling the shots.
Yeah.
And if they're not getting the right data, whether your pixel's not set up right, or you're just not trusting the data that it is showing you, whether it is really true or not, it's really important just to have the data on Meta and optimize based on that. But really, that's why when it comes down to like Advantage Plus campaigns, when we're telling people to optimize, it's like, is the top level campaign doing well? Great, don't touch anything.
Yeah.
Even if there's an ad in there that's not doing great, maybe it shows a low ROAS, you don't know where those purchases are coming from. What really matters is that just that high level return on ad spend.
Yeah, which is why we have moved to what is number 6 expensive mistake, and that is ignoring your blended return on ad spend or cost per acquisition and only using ads manager metrics to make decisions.
You don't need an attribution tool if you do this.
Essentially, if you do this, you don't need an attribution tool.
Yep.
And so it's expensive to only look at your ads manager.
Yeah.
If you only make decisions on your ad buying using the ads manager, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot because there's attribution loss that happens. There are sales that do not make it to the ads manager based on attribution loss and tracking transparency and a lot of that stuff. Flat out, it doesn't have all of the data that it needs. And so if your blended numbers, and when we say blended, we mean your blended return on ad spend, meaning like your overall revenue divided by your ad spend, not just what Meta is tracking, but your overall revenue, or your overall revenue divided by number of customers acquired gives your blended CPA. Sorry if we're getting a little bit more nerdy here. I promise we'll get into some less nerdy stuff here soon.
Are we?
Yeah, I don't know. So if you're ignoring these and you're only making decisions based on Ads Manager, you're also going to put yourself in a bad spot.
Yep.
I had a conversation with a client this week that then last week they're like, well, I met with her and I looked at all her stuff and I was like, why did you shut these 3 ads off? This campaign is crushing it. Well, those 3 ads in the campaign weren't like where I wanted, and like the return on ad spend wasn't and the CPA wasn't quite where I wanted it. I was like, well, how is your revenue in the last week? She's like, oh, ever since we launched this campaign, I've been having record days year to date, and I'm setting records over last year like gangbusters. I was like, so why are you shutting stuff off?
Yeah.
Well, Meta's showing me this. I was like, it doesn't matter. Meta doesn't capture everything.
Yep.
And I was like, so you're making a decision based on Meta. But then you could flip the switch over here and look at your overall business revenue, and you're doing $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 days when normally you're doing $1,000 days. So like, if the trend is you turn on this ad campaign, and then suddenly your revenue shot up, but Meta isn't showing you exactly the same story, that's okay. Look at your blended. So before we even optimize, like in our account, before we go do anything, we're going to look and say, what are our blended numbers looking like? How does our blended return on ad spend look like? How does our blended CPA, and what is our ad spend percentage? And if it looks great, then we're like, okay, I don't care what's happening in the ads manager because it's all doing something, even if I don't know exactly how it's doing that something.
Yeah.
And so if you ignore blended numbers and you only work on ads manager, you're going to be chasing your tail a lot because there's a lot of stuff that isn't tracked, and you could be sabotaging yourself by touching campaigns, touching ads, just way too much, and it's just wrecking all the optimization.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I feel like this goes against a lot of what people teach and what they say, because you would think you're optimizing on an ad level, you'd think that you want to kill your fat, like all that kind of stuff, but you really can't. With everything that happened with Apple transparency, it's best just to let it do its thing. And you have to, I've heard it said like this before, you have to treat Meta as your business partner, not like an enemy that you're fighting against. You have to trust it and trust that what it's doing is actually right, even if it doesn't look like it or it doesn't feel like it. Well, I guess it should feel like it based on your blended ROAS and CPA, but if it doesn't look like it in the dashboard.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to struggle to think about that.
Yeah.
Meta is a business partner.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a great business partner for us.
It is.
We double our ad spend every year. It's
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Our business doubles every year.
You just have to treat Meta like a friend, not a foe.
Yeah, I love that. All right, we have two more big, juicy mistakes that you might be making with your advertising. Number 7 is day trading ads. And what I mean by that is you launch a campaign, and the next day, you're freaking out about it. Do you ever get that on coaching calls?
Yeah. I try to tell people don't even submit for coaching for like 7 days after
you have a
launch it,
requirement in the alley.
because there's no reason to look at it for the first 7 days.
Yeah.
But I see it all the time, and even with the requirement, sometimes I'll get people that come in and they're like, yeah, this campaign's just not doing good. It has been running for 3 days, but it's just not doing good. And in the back of my mind, I think like, oh, so you know that it hasn't been enough time because you've already specified it's only been running for 3 days, but it's not doing good. You know it hasn't been running for long enough. Everybody intuitively knows this, but it's scary just to let a campaign sit and cross your fingers and hope. But the math reigns true that it has to have that time. It has to.
And I have to be a little empathetic for people in that situation.
That's true.
Because we've been in that situation.
For sure.
Like when you are spending and you're not in a good cash position, or you're running on credit cards and you're running on fumes, and you don't have a lot of money, or you're just getting going and you're just figuring it out and you're just getting started with Meta, I also feel that. You know what I mean? Like I can feel their pain because like you have to watch every dollar versus like when you have a really good flow and you work like you've been doing this for 11 years, you know what I mean? Since basically the dawn of Facebook advertising, it feels a lot different. So I do empathize with people that are getting in, and I understand the reason why they're so nervous 3 days in and why they have to do that. But it's like, but that's just not how the process works.
The right data is so valuable.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to.
And so that's just not how Meta Ads works though.
Yeah.
So so you have to have an expectation that the first 5 to 7 days of any campaign, I'd say Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, 5 to 7 days, you have to literally, I tell all of our clients, you launch it and then you don't even log in. Like you literally have to pretend like it doesn't exist for 5 to 7 days. Because what happens is your emotion gets involved. And marketing is a mathematical equation, not an emotional decision. And we'll say that till the day we die. And eventually I'll probably get a tattoo of that.
There you go.
Like, we get emotional about it, especially when it's our dollars and it's not producing what we want. But an Advantage Plus shopping campaign, 5 to 7 days. If you're running like a big CBO manual sales campaign like we love to run in higher scale scenarios, you got to wait a couple weeks. Like really weeks 3 and 4 is when they start to dial in. And so that's also, you have to be able to stomach that and you have to have that expectation. And so we prefer, instead of day trading ads, like making decisions based on just 1 day's of data, we give 5 to 7 days, but then after we get outside of that window and time goes on and you're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, we have campaigns that have been running since last August. It's bizarre. Like one of our campaigns, August 8th last year.
I haven't touched it since.
I haven't touched it. It just runs and we've been scaling ever since. And we don't even add new ads into it. And so eventually you have ads that have run for a long, long time. And so we don't make a decision based on yesterday. We make a decision on 7-day and 14-day windows because you could just have a bad day or a bad 2 days. But then it could make up in other days. And so never make decisions based on a single day of data. That is very costly. So we use day over day and week over week breakdowns to observe trends, and we only make decisions in 7 and 14-day windows because you could have a bad few days, and that's okay. As long as it shakes out in a bigger time frame, that's what you're going for. You're playing the long game. And I want to give a really tangible example from today. So one of our brands, we launched ads on, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days ago. 5 days ago. Well, yesterday was a pretty bad, it's actually been kind of bad the first 4 days. And this is a pretty big campaign. So there are like about, I think it was 9 or 10 ads inside each one. There are 4 ad sets in a CBO, and there are 7 to 9 ads in each one of those. This is a pretty big campaign that we're launching. And on the first day, our target CPA, by the way, is around like 20 to 25 bucks is a really good sweet spot. Under 20, crushing it. So, day 1, $33 CPA. Okay. 1.75 ROAS. Day 2, $59 CPA, 1.04 ROAS. That hurt.
Just shut the campaign off at that point, right?
Day 3, $27, 37-cent CPA, 1.85 ROAS. And you're like, okay, it's going in a good direction. Then day 4, that was yesterday. 30, back up to $32, 1.46. Okay, now we're on the point of like break even where we're losing money here. And so yesterday we're kind of all talking, and the founder was like, man, ads are just completely in the dumps. I was like, hey, we have to hold out. We're literally in day 4 right now. And then today, before we walked on this podcast, $20.08 CPA, 2.99 ROAS. Day 5. So like and I said, we shouldn't even be touching this for at least another week. Like we just need to let it go, let it work as a symphony. It's getting in a groove. It's finding people. It's putting the right creative and copy and ads in front of the right people at the right time, and then retargeting. So it takes time. So don't day trade ads. Look in larger time frames.
I think people don't actually believe that Meta can have good days and bad days. I think people think that I'm spending $25 a day, I'm spending $100 a day, I'm spending whatever, that I should expect the same results every single day. So that's why they get into their heads about looking at day by day, because I should be, if I'm spending $100 a day, I should be getting 4 purchases a day. That's how it should be. But it doesn't work out like that. It's you get 0 purchases one day, you get 4 the next, you get 0 the next, then you get 8 the next. And that makes up for it across the board. Now, it's not always cut and dry like that, but there are bad days. Sometimes I look at a day-by-day breakdown and I see bad day, bad day, bad day, good day, good day, bad day, bad day, bad day, good day, good day. And I look at it and then I compare the dates to the calendar. I'm like, oh, all weekends. So you do really good on weekends, or you do really good on Wednesdays for some reason, or like there's just a trend or whatever. And if you don't take all that into consideration, it can hurt you really bad.
Yeah. Well, final one. The last expensive, big, juicy mistake. Trying tons of campaign structures in different targeting, thinking that's the issue.
Yeah. This has actually been something that I've been talking about a lot recently, because people are always asking me, they're like, should I try a different campaign structure? Should I try this? Maybe Advantage Plus isn't working for me, this. And I'm like, I want to just say no, because I know that that's not the case. But then I go on and I say, your ads are usually the issue.
Yeah.
You have to have good ads. If you have good ads, a campaign structure is just a small tweak. Can it make a difference? Maybe. A different campaign structure could possibly make a difference. But it's not going to make a difference if you have bad ads to start. So I actually have started looking at campaigns sometimes as more organizational than like actually something that you can 100%, tweak.
100%. Yeah.
And then also organizing my thoughts too. If I'm testing something, this campaign is now for testing this. Sometimes you can test targeting, but it doesn't mean that that's the reason that the campaign's doing better. It all starts with the ads.
Yeah.
And we have a great example here that we did this for ourselves.
Yeah, we just did this, and I'll share some numbers here with everybody. Don't go tell our competitors. So one of the number one questions we get asked all the time is, everyone thinks that there is a magic campaign structure that's going to solve everything. And it is never a campaign structure. It is almost always a root issue of something fundamental.
Yeah.
And that's usually ads.
Yep.
Or it's usually offer.
Yep.
Or something on the website.
All the stuff we talked about
Literally
before.
one of those 3 things. And so I wanted to show everybody, and another question that you get is like, well, can you run multiple campaign structures in one? And the answer is, yes, you can.
Yep.
There's a lot of conspiracy around they cannibalize each other. And I will, to be fair, I have seen some things that you hypothesize that they're cannibalizing each other, but a lot of times it's like just different ads in them and different offers. And so I want to share 2 campaigns that we launched, and this is from the last
this looks
3
like a lot of time.
Yeah, it's 3 to 4 months worth. One of them has been running a little bit longer than that, but not only a couple months longer than that.
Yep.
So this is like 4, and then maybe one of them is running like 6 months. So we launched an Advantage Plus shopping campaign, and we ran an Advantage Plus shopping campaign against a manual sales campaign, a CBO with the same ads in both of them.
Yep.
One of them spent about $84,000, and the other one spent $39,000, so about half, right? And of course, these are both still active right now as of this morning.
Yep.
And still scaling. And this was like 3 to 4 months. Launched these suckers, almost haven't touched them. Same exact ads. One of them had 1,441 purchases for $58.21. The other one had 670 purchases for $58.70. So, manual sales versus Advantage Plus shopping campaign with the same offer, with the same ads inside of it.
And the manual sales...
a discrepancy of 49 cents
Yeah,
CPA.
and the manual sales campaign is very unique. If I remember correctly, that's the one with the multiple ad sets inside, targeting different. Is that the one they used?
I ran it just to see like broad against lookalikes, against interests, against.
So it is like a very, very different kind of targeting than Advantage Plus. I mean, it's kind of old school when it comes to testing audience targeting, where
interests are actually, I think, the best in there, and lookalikes.
Yes.
And everyone says those suck.
And it was Advantage Plus, which I guess is everyone's favorite, maybe you're on that train. Some people are like, I hate Advantage Plus. It's never worked for me.
I like Advantage. I think it's so
love
simple.
Advantage Plus.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
so
it's a
simple and
good
effective.
first try. But it's Advantage Plus versus a very, very, very different campaign, same results.
Yep.
And it's because of the ads.
Yeah. It's so it's expensive to think that you need to try a ton of different campaign structures and different targeting. It's usually not the issue. And if you keep going back and forth on that and you don't focus on your ads, your offer, and your website, you're probably going to lose a boatload of money.
Yeah.
Well, hope this was a long episode. This is fun. We obviously like to talk about this stuff. Hopefully you found a little bit of value, maybe a little gold nugget that's going to help you be more profitable inside your business. Now, if you own an e-commerce business and you want to know, how do I work with you guys? How do I put you at my round table? What would it be like to have you coaching me, get access to all of your meta ads training, all of your optimization processes, how you recommend running e-commerce, scaling e-commerce brands? Then go to ecommercealley.com. We have 2 coaching programs there. One, if you're like under $15,000 a month in revenue. One, if you're over $15,000 a month in revenue, because there's just different things you need based on where you're at. And then, of course, we have a shop that we just released. It's super exciting that you could buy like templates, a la carte trainings from like $7 to $50. I think the most expensive thing on there is like $95.
And that's a big bundle of a bunch of stuff.
It's a big bundle of a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's
you can
really
get
affordable.
our Canva templates, over 150 Canva templates for $47. I think that's the price on it. Don't quote me. Maybe there's a deal. Who knows?
Yeah.
Go check it out, ecommercealley.com. And so if you appreciate this episode, if you like hearing this kind of stuff and you want more of it, please just rate this podcast episode, or rate this podcast on Spotify or iTunes. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and drop below in the comments what was maybe a takeaway that you had that you're going to now implement into your advertising optimization process. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.